Good Thursday morning, everybody. It is a little bit after 10. Well, actually, closer to 10:30. And today's episode is going to be more of a answer a couple questions and show a few things I just got early this morning because they had a hard time delivering it yesterday, and I found out why, and I'll explain to you in a second. But Jerry and I got some items from Amazon from their the Sissy and Dave, or I can't remember their names, but they have daily discounts on Amazon, and they had a couple items on there that we decided to get. One that I'm gonna have to move my camera back a little bit. It is a stool system, a basically portable stool for camping, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's very lightweight but very durable. It's strong enough for Jerry to sit on, and it's portable. And I'll tell you why it's portable. It comes looking like this, and you're like, that's a stool? Yep. Simple. You see the little holes in there, you grab hold, there's one on each side, and you, come on, I forgot how to, alright, there we go. It pulls out, and it collapses. And it's a good size. You can make it, this is as tall as it gets. I'm gonna pull back a little bit. That's as tall as it gets. It's about the same height as Jerry's commode. We tested the size. And the thing is, it's rated for up to 400 pounds. The good thing is, you might think, oh, that's, you don't want to sit on that for very long. It comes with, and you can purchase these separately, but the deal that we got comes with a portable cushion. And you see the straps on the side, it all straps down to the top of the stool so you can sit on it. And then when you're ready to dismantle your campsite, or you're done sitting down watching and looking at the sights, you can just pull, twist, collapses. And this carrying case, the way they give it to you is backwards. So you're going to have to unzip it, turn it inside out. Now, Jay-Ann and I was talking about how you might be able to leave the padding on it, but I was like, no, because, as you turn it inside out, the padding will disconnect from the stool just to reverse itself. Now, it comes with a carrying strap. It also comes with a little loop, so you can clip it onto your backpack if you have a modular system like I have on my backpack for camping. And then you take the hard part and you stuff it in the bag. You might have to struggle with it, first couple times. We had to play with this for a few minutes this morning to figure out how did you get this in the bag because of the way the straps were. And I realized, oh, you've got to reverse the cushion so you can have the straps on the outside and a little buckle. We got two of these. The first one we got was on special, and it was $20 or thereabouts. I can't remember exactly what the special was. Jerry's the one who dealt with that. But the second one was about $39. So it wasn't a major discount, but still, every penny you can save is, a penny in your pocket. Now, the other thing we got, let's see, instruction manual. I better keep that just in case. The other item we got, we were thinking about for camping, and we don't know how powerful it is, so we don't know if it would be good for campfire starter, or even just lighting a camp stove or something of that nature. And I don't even know if it's fully charged. It is a arc lighter, dual electric arc lighter. So, and it's charged. Basically, it's a rechargeable item. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm out of butane. I have to go find some butane for my lighter, anything like that. And this is the first time pulling it out of its box. So we're literally deboxing it. I have no idea what this unit is for. It's probably a cleaner or something like that. I'll have to read the instructions on the package. Includes lighter, manual, USB-C cable for charging. So it's basically, I'll read this, but it looks more like a candle lighter than an actual fire starter. We're going to test it. I have 2 of my candles here to test it on. I actually wanted to light these candles pretty, sooner than later for a lot of different purposes. Alrighty. Okay, on, wait a minute. Okay, that's the plug side. That's okay. Okay, it looks like it's fully charged. And when I put it into the on position, little prongs stick up. And let's see here. Oh yeah. Oh, let me do it this way so you guys can see. Come on. Well, this one's wanting to be a stubborn little guy. There we go. Just didn't have it in the right position. I need to blow that one out because that wick is a little bit longer than it should be. But it works nicely, and I'm going to stick it near the camera. Hopefully I don't cause issues. You see that little arc? And then I guess when you're done, you just pull it down, you shut it off. It's in off mode. It's in the safety position. So nobody can accidentally hit the button and cause a fire. But that's pretty good. It's pretty good. And as you can tell, when it's in the off position, the prongs are down into the body of this unit. So that's pretty good. That worked nicely. I just need to trim that wick if I'm going to relight it, which I want to. These were discounted items. A lot of the stuff we've been buying lately from Amazon, we are making sure that we are being thrifty and not just spending willy-nilly. Which is one of the things I'm kind of happy that Jerry's on board with me when it comes to this miniatures, because I don't want us to get into any problems because we spent too much money. And I don't know if you can hear it if I put it close enough. It's like making an electrical buzzing noise, because it's an arc lighter. Now what I'd like to find for it, and I don't know if they make them, is a case of some sort, so you're not, well, maybe if I put it back in the box the way it came to me, it won't be a problem. But it works nicely. I think that will be good for my candles. Maybe I'll take it on our first camping trip to test it in a camping type situation. There we go. Sorry, it's got a caution on it. So basically, yeah, that little foam pad that came with this is a cleaner to clean off the unit because of candle soot, melted wax, burning candlestick, or other sundries stuck on the tips of the product may cause the use of lighting. May affect. Alrighty. I should set it behind me. Well, that's today's fun stuff. Let's get down to the second part of this video, which is basically I have 3 questions. 2 of those questions actually come from Nilly. She wanted to know where I went for basic training. I went to Fort Jackson, North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte. That's where my basic training was. If I would have made it through basic training to go into advanced training, I would have been shipped to Fort Lee up in Virginia. But I didn't make it all the way through basic because of health issues. The other question she asked, and this one is going to be fun, but I'm going to leave it for last. I'm going to skip over to the other person. The name of this person was funny. Sandpaper or something eyeball. I can't remember the whole name. I only wrote the first part. But this person asked, did Viking people, Norse, please use the word Norse unless you're talking about their rating, trim their toenails? And I was like, I have to think about that one. And I gave it some good thought. And I realized, okay, I am not 100% sure because there's never been any archaeological finds about toenails or methods of trimming toenails. Then I thought about their clothing and their environment. And being that their clothing was made out of hides, whether it was cow hide, deer hide, or some other form of animal hide or leather, you got to realize because of the nature of leather, wearing leather as a shoe would naturally cause the toenails to keep at a relatively decent length. As the hide rubbed against the toenails, the friction would literally act like a nail file and just naturally file the toenails down. Otherwise, just the factor that not everybody wore shoes. So being barefoot, running around, and walking on hard ground is also a natural way of keeping toenails from getting unruly. My wife and I, because I told my wife this question, my wife and I joked about, well, if you're a berserker, you might use your toenails as a weapon. And I was kind of like, maybe, I don't know. But I am pretty sure if the Norse people of the time would have a problem with toenail growth, they would find a way to shave them down with a knife or some other sharp implement to cut the toenail off. Otherwise, I don't think they had issues with, extreme toenail growth or uncomfortable toenail growth due to their clothing or footwear or their environment and how they lived. That's one of the reasons why I'm sure that the toenail pick, as I call it, which is just a little device that was made out of either metal or ivory from walrus tusks. They use it to clean the soot and whatnot out from underneath their toenails, and then probably use a small curved bladed cutter like you would use on a horse to shave down their hooves. They would have something similar for toenails, but in a much smaller size. But otherwise, there's no archaeological evidence of, toenail clippings or anything like that. So you would think that the leather in their footwear, specially treated hides or whatnot to keep the water from coming in, but the part of the hide that wrapped around the foot would most likely keep the toenails from getting too unruly. Anyhow, but I really don't know the full answer because lack of evidence, lack of information. I'm just thinking about the environment and their clothing and what it could do to their toenails, or how it would help keep their toenails from being unruly. The last question is going back to Nelly. And it's one of those questions where I just kind of, ooh, that's an interesting question, and I'm going to enjoy answering it. She asked this: if I, excuse me, if I could be a Norseman, who would it be and why? Well, Nelly, if we're going by the TV series of Vikings, um, I have a feeling if we were going by the TV series, I would probably have characteristics of Floki and Ragnar. Ragnar for one, because of his character of wanting to care for his people and do justice by the people. Granted, invading England was a combination of a retribution towards the English people for slaughtering a town or a settlement of people who had no desire to commit to war. And the thing was, is while Ragnar was in England with this settlement, the English had no ability to do harm to the village because of Ragnar's leadership. Floki, well, the reason why I like Floki is because he is a mischievous character, but his skill as a boat builder is phenomenal. It was he was beyond his times when it came to boat building. But if I had to choose a Norseman skill outside of TV shows, out of just what I know from the Norsemen, yeah, I'd probably either try to be. I would either want to be a boat builder, because without the boats, the people would not be able to travel and explore or raid, or a blacksmith. Metalworking and metal crafting has always been interesting to me, but I've never had the chance to do it, because nowadays it's a very expensive undertaking, and not very many people nowadays need the working of a blacksmith. But back in the Nordic people, the era of the Norsemen or Vikings, however you want to put it, blacksmiths were very vital, because their metalworking was not just tools; it was weapons, it was metal flanging for various different things. As metal age advanced forward, between the boat builder, the blacksmith, and the farmer, those were like three occupations that were the backbone of the Nordic people. Even the backbone for the Vikings when they went raiding, because you needed somebody who can make food, or plow the land, or turn warped metal into workable swords or axes or spear points or arrowheads. You know, look at the TV series Vikings. All right, Ragnar Lothbrok was not originally a king or a leader. He was a farmer, a simple man, but he knew how to fight, because all Norsemen, no matter what their occupation, had some skill in warrior, in the field of being a warrior or a Viking. In fact, sometimes the men of the families would go raiding with the other people of the community, just to bring home riches. But Ragnar, before he became king, originally went to England to set up a settlement, because the land in England was much better and much more fertile to grow good crops. And that's what he wanted in England at first. But between his Jarl, who sent him to England hoping he would die, tried to murder his family when he didn't die, and then he caused a ruckus and went back to England, and that's when the Jarl tried to murder his wife and 2 kids, or 3 kids, 2 or 3, I can't remember. I think it was 3 kids. And when Lagertha took the kids and ran to the hills to go hide, and Ragnar came back and found out about it. Or no, she didn't run and hide. She actually, no, that's right, she didn't run and hide. She ended up literally killing the attempted assassination. And when Ragnar came home and found out about it, he challenged the Jarl at the time, and basically won the battle and put the old Jarl to death by Blood Eagle, and became king of his village. And he was a well-liked, generous, kind, helpful, Jarl. And he, unlike the old one who would sit on his throne while he sent people to go raid and die for him, Ragnar was right there with him, like, nope, we're going raiding. I'm choosing the people, and we're going together. And while he was gone raiding with his people, Lagertha would be in charge of the town, and Lagertha was just as good as Ragnar was in leading the village. And that's one of the reasons why I would want to be somebody like Ragnar, because he wasn't afraid to go to battle with his people. He wasn't afraid to do what was right. He was fearless as a leader. Now, like I said, Floki, on the other hand, was a mischievous little character, and he sought visions from the gods and how to make his boats and what kind of wood to use and all that stuff. Now, the only downside about Floki was he was not ready to be a father. 2, he was kind of selfish at times. Now, his treatment of the monk Abstain was a little, harsh. But when you fear something so deeply, you tend to do things that were just, just wasn't right. But who am I thinking about right now? Margaret. If you get to a certain part of the Viking series, I'm not going to try to do any spoilers, but there's a part towards the end of, well, not towards the end of the series, but towards the middle of the series of chapter 1, Vikings. Not chapter 1 as in season 1, but this is closer to season, oh God, I can't remember what season it is. But Ragnar will make a speech that is just bone-chilling. At least it was for me. He makes a couple speeches, but this one particular speech, you'll know it when you hear it. Just to give you a heads up, it's basically when Ragnar gets captured by the English. Yeah. And it's not that he was captured, he kind of gave himself up just to stir up the pot, so to speak, which puts his sons on edge. But I'm not going to say anymore because I will spoil it. I'm not good at holding my tongue when it comes to certain things, let alone keeping secrets. But yeah, if I had to choose an actual character from the TV series, it would be either Ragnar or Floki. Actually, you know what? No, I'm thinking about it now. I'm actually thinking about it. Match my characters with a character from the TV series. I'm going to have to say it would be Bjorn when he becomes Bjorn Ironsides. Yeah. Because not only did he become a good leader, he explored the world. He went beyond what most Norsemen thought was too far. Um, but yeah, I think I think I'd rather be, if I had to be, or if I could be, I'd rather be Bjorn, because I mean he has his father's grit. He has the desire to go exploring and seeing more of the known world, let alone the unknown world. Um, he could handle the brothers, especially Ivar. He was not afraid of Ivar. But yeah, it would probably definitely be Bjorn. Because not only did Bjorn become a leader like his father, but he became fearless, and for the most part, a lot of people thought he was indestructible because every chance the Brits at the time tried to hurt Bjorn, it just made him pissed off. He was, I would say he would be close to being a berserker, but not having the full, like uncontrolled anger or uncontrolled, emotions or whatever. In fact, it was Bjorn that challenged Rollo in the series, I think. And I can't remember if Rollo went limping back to France or whatnot, and that was shortly before the siege of Paris by Bjorn and his followers, or his army. But yeah, I mean, the Viking era had a lot of interesting characters, not only in the history of the Vikings through the sagas and the Eddas, but just what we have discovered archaeological wise, and some documentation by the British people or British kings of the time that described in quite some detail the ferocity of the Nordic armies, or as they call them, the Vikings, or we call them the Vikings. They call them Norsemen. It's one of those things where it's like, crud. I forgot the name of the TV series, but there used to be a TV series on History Channel where they took historical characters from different parts of the world and matched them up in a mock combat. And I can't remember. I know they did a Viking warrior against, I can't remember if it was a Roman centurion or what. But in every mock match or mock combat, the Viking won. Because granted, okay, the Roman Empire had their shields and their armors and their tactics and whatnot, but because of the sheer strength and brutality and ferocity of a Nordic warrior, especially the elite, because the centurion was considered Rome's elite warrior, while the berserker was considered the Nordic army's elite warrior. And we know from various historical points that a berserker is basically blind to pain. So it would take a direct death blow to a berserker to kill it, because the concoction that they call the berserker's potion had certain mushrooms and whatnot that caused like a psychedelic, or whatever it caused basically the berserker rage and the loss of self. Basically, pain would not register in their brain no more. And that's one of the reasons why, between the weapons of the times, and yeah, granted the Roman Centurion might have had superior weapons and whatnot, but just the brutality of a Nordic berserker is devastating enough alone. And there had been a couple of different stories, and this came not from Rome, but this came from Britain, that when I can't remember the name of the bridge, but there was a battle on the bridge, and one lone Norse berserker stood his ground on the bridge by himself to allow his fellow Norsemen to flee. And he, according to the story, if I remember correctly, by the time the British was able to kill this one lone berserker, he had already devastated 100+ souls. In other words, 100+ people died at the hand of this one man before they could kill him. And I'm like, that's why you don't really want to piss off certain kinds of Norsemen, because they take a drink of that little potion of theirs, and minutes later, it's a tank. It's a flesh and blood tank standing in your way. That, and there was another account of a skirmish between the Brits and the Norsemen, and a number of the British soldiers ran before they saw the size of the army heading their way, just because of the sounds coming from the Nordic army, between swords or axes clanking against shields, and their chants, their battle cry, basically. It scared the pants off of a bunch of the British soldiers. And was that a battle against King Edmund or somebody else? But it just goes to show you that the Norsemen use various kinds of tactics. Basically, the beginning of psychological warfare is to literally scare the pants out of your enemy with whatever means you think would scare them. Now, to have a group of men and women clanking swords against shields while screaming or chanting or making sounds that just does not sound like a human being, because their voices could get really guttural and just sound like a giant beast. Yeah, if you don't see what's coming at you and you hear these noises, we'll see who's the first to break, and it's usually the younger, unexperienced soldier. While the veterans are like, yeah, they're just trying to scare the crap out of us. We just have to stand our ground, And even standing your ground is not easy, because the armies at the time, because the Roman Empire had come through already, and a lot of the civilizations that the Romans had influenced in, they learned certain tactics like shield wall. That's not just a Nordic tactic. The Romans were using it hundreds of years before the Norsemen. But not everybody was able to hold a good shield wall. But it seemed to be a tactic that the world learned over, because the Chinese Empire knew shield wall. The British knew shield wall. The Norsemen knew what a shield wall was and what it could do. But yeah, a lot of the people out of the Nordic histories, characters like Ragnar and Bjorn, they're real characters. Lagertha was a real character. These are real people. They're just reintroduced or the actors who played those characters did a really good job. Um, but I don't know. I mean, if I were to think about who I wanted to be back then, you know, not using historical characters, yeah, I'd probably be wanting to be somebody who helped out my community with skills, whether it was farming or blacksmithing or boat building. Um, it's a necessary skill back then. Um, Granted, the hardship of living in those times, you wonder which would be better. Because you can say farmer, because as a farmer, you're growing your own crops. Sometimes your crops are mostly for your home. Sometimes you shared if you had an overabundance with your neighbor or traded. Like, let's say you're a farmer, but you don't really have any, animals for meat. So maybe you trade a little bit of your extra grain to your neighbor who has an abundance of stock animals. Or maybe you know, learn how to have a couple stock animals in your on your homestead. So you did have the ability to raise cow or goats or lambs or geese or whatever. So you have meat to be had during whatever time of the year you needed it. Um, Now, your blacksmith, now he's a guy that a lot of people go to have their tools repaired if they have metal tools that need to be repaired. But the thing is, it wouldn't matter who I was back then, because in order to survive back then, um, um, you kind of had to be self sufficient. In other words, you had to be able to do your blacksmithing, and your family would be taking care of a small farm, whether you're growing grains or you're, most homesteads back then had everything. They had to literally be a jack of all trades, because they had to be able to have a small plot of land to grow grains or crops or whatnot, and whatever was not usable for you as a human being. Like, let's say you're growing wheat. Now, most people only use the upper part of the wheat stalk. The bottom part of the wheat stalk would be animal feed. Give it to the cows, or whatever livestock you might have on your property. But every home back then had everything that a family would need. Small plot of land for crops and farm animals. Um, you know, a small little spot for repairing tools, or a outside workshop. The only thing that inside of a home would be for cooking food, sleeping, and storing your belongings. And during the wintertime up there, their houses, sometimes depending on how big your house is or how well you can build it, had a section for the human beings and then a section for the animals, connected by a breezeway or corridor. So the most part of most of the animals, especially the cows and goats and whatnot, would be in their part of the building, and they might let, like, the geese and the chickens roam around the whole place. Um, it's not. I mean, by all accounts that I've read, it was not an easy life. You were literally getting up at the crack of dawn, because your rooster would be your alarm clock. And you would get up and start doing chores. Husband and oldest son would take care of the animals, while mom and daughters would be prepping the meals for the day, as well as doing, cleaning and maybe fixing clothing or one form or another, patching up clothing, or helping with feeding. It really depended on what your husband or mom and dad's career, or not really career, but what all they had to do, the kids would help. And it was kind of how things were taught. You help mom and dad so you learn what to do so you can one day take over the farm. Or at least one of the children would take over the farm, while the oldest, especially the oldest male child, might become a Viking. There's a lot of things that you have to take into account when it comes to their lifestyle and who they were. But anyhow, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little video. Hopefully my answers were adequate enough for those who are seeking the answers. So if it was good, you can put a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments on this video, you can put them in the question comment box. If you're new to my channel and want to join, you can hit the subscribe button, and once you do that, you can, a little bell pop up, click on that bell, and YouTube will let you know when I put in my next video. So until next time, you guys have a good day. Bye.